Hey kids, it's Bobo here, and you're listening to the wildest, most far out, wiggling podcast, Anime Egotists. We love you, beauty.
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where no one's asking us to join their anime band.
I have no sense of rhythm, and Alex can attest to that.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I still have nightmares over it. Goodness gracious. Anyways, my name's Alex, and if you put me in a visual novel, like don't pick me. Don't do my route, please.
Just know that my route's the bad ending, and I'm Richard.
That's terrible, but that's right. And last time we did a pretty good discussion about just what in the world is going on with anime video games.
Yeah, and we had a couple ideas that came actually out of that video, so we decided to start working on a few of them, and found this one to be a fun one to do. I felt.
Yeah, because well, Naruto and Dragon Ball, One Piece, I love all those shows, but they get a lot of video games, and all of them by Bandai Namco. Go figure. But it just seemed like I've always said before, instead of giving time and love to franchises that already have everything, why don't we give time and video games, in this case, to franchises that just don't have that much?
Yeah. Now, with my list, I focused heavily on franchises that didn't get US releases. I did a little bit of research, and some of these franchises I did know to have games in Japan only, but that means I don't have access to them, so
That's fine.
I just wanted to bring that up, so in case someone says that that has like 15 video games. Yeah, but I can't play them, so.
No, I'll just delete that comment, it's okay. But anyways, we're just here to talk about anime that need more video games, and even the style that we might want to go with. Usually I'd like you to start us off, but do you mind if I start?
Go right ahead.
Alright. This one already has a handful of video games, but none of them complete the story, so I'm just gonna say Zatch Bell.
Yeah, I kind of figured this one would be on your list, so.
Yeah,
Didn't.
yeah. Look. The manga's done at this point. The sequel's coming out. Oh, now's kind of the perfect time to do something with this. You could tell the story. I don't even need custom stuff for this. I don't necessarily need your own story or your own Momoto. You can just finally tell the story of the whole manga. Because I'm sick of seeing it for Dragon Ball and Naruto, but if it's a series that I haven't fully been invested with the story with, it's okay to do just the full story, just as long as you're not doing it 10 times in a row.
I can agree to that. That would be, again, another fun way to kind of judge, especially like the US market, to see if we could get a full release of the original anime before they start working on anything with with the sequel manga.
Yeah. And it could be, I guess, kind of similar to the Tenkaichi style, or they've had a couple of games where it's not necessarily, it's like a 3D fighting game, or sometimes you can run around and hide in different areas, but that sort of thing. And finally get the story of Zatch becoming a kind king and then eventually screwing it up somehow. Oh, and heck, and I'm going to add something to it, because there was a Dragon Ball Z game, I think it was called Shin Budokai Another Road. There's a tournament mode where, depending on who you play as, once you win the tournament, you get different cutscenes. Like, I want to say Janemba's in the game, and if he wins the tournament, he just starts growling and yelling at the announcer, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting. Janemba says he wants to go shoe shopping with all his prize money. That's great." You could, in all seriousness, you could do stuff like that and be like, "Oh, well, what would have happened had May become the king, or Kiddo, or Victory," like that sort of thing. They don't all have to be super in depth or anything. They could just be tiny little cutscenes, but just it would add some replayability to show, hey, this is why you should play as some of these other characters.
I think that would be absolutely hilarious. Just getting like, and the Momoto world burned to the ground because Kanchome became king of the Momotos and had no control, and everybody ran rampant all over the world.
Exactly. And it could even lead to some touching stuff, because like there were some characters. Look, one of the small little tangent when it comes to Zatch Bell, they all kind of had the same goal for the most part. So had Zatch not won, but one of the other main characters did, I don't think it would have been that much of I don't think it would have been that bad of a story. It could just be like, well, some character they all have the same goals, so if one of them wins, it's okay. Like you could showcase that. Maybe Zophis wins and things go horribly. Maybe Victory wins and things go who knows at this point. But just I don't know. You could tell some different stories, even if you're still telling the same story.
I would like though if this was to be a thing that you'd have to have like all the different bad guys get be as unlockable. Maybe the first time you play through, you have to play as Zatch and Kyo, and you get this story ending, but then you unlock maybe some of the characters, and each time you play through with a different character, you unlock different people based on who they fight in the series and all that you get. So you can get different ones, and then when you play through, you beat them, and it changes the story as you go. So it'd be kind of interesting to see like oh god, I forgot just some of like the characters that we know go away really early on in the series win and go all the way to become king.
Yopopo.
Yopopo. He was the most violent dictator that the Momoda world has ever seen.
Considering so as a kid, I hated his dancing, so little kid me might be okay with that. But yes, Zatch Bell. Like I said, it doesn't have to be create a Momodo and anything, which is weird coming from us because we've literally done that. But it could still be fun.
As I said, and I think that would be a great way to show the full story to the US audience that we didn't get to have. So,
Yeah, but that's all for my first one.
all right. So my first one is one that I think has a ton of games, but doing research for this, a lot of them are on like secondary consoles, the PSP. It's just not stuff that would be like the full mainstream where the average person would have, or Japanese releases, and that's Bleach. I think that this one could be fun either way, whether you play as Ichigo or and his group of friends, and you play through the story because it's a lot to get through now, and you have two separate animes, so they're kind of doing that. Or I think it could also be really cool to have a creative character one where it maybe starts in that Rukia retrieval arc, and you get to face Ichigo as like just a regular squad member, and you have to work your way up. You never make it to captain, but I could see you making like becoming an officer in whatever squad and having different abilities based on like your squad that you're in and all that. And just so there's just a couple different ways that I could see this going and being fun to interact and going on like little missions. I could see it being a very much a Xenoverse kind of game.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with all the different variations of the Zanpakuto. I do. They'd have to get really creative with it if this was a creative character game. But even if they like that, like because you don't want everybody running around doing the same thing. But if done right, it could be excellent.
Yeah, that's kind of why I went with Xenoverse. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have like yeah, they could have similar abilities, but I would be interested like you could select like the different forms your Zanpakuto take when you're doing like different unlocks and stuff throughout the game, and it just slightly you might have like there's I know I forgot the character's name, but like one who makes every time he hits you, it makes you heavier. So you could have something like that being your ability, which just slows down your opponent, but it could also jump to but there could be a whole bunch of different combinations that I think you could unlock and change up how it works overall.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that like some people are gonna hate me for this. This is one of the few games where if it had quick time events, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. With certain boss battles, of course. Obviously, don't go too crazy with it, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I especially because when you see some of the attacks, I mean, I'm just thinking of like um Zabimaru and its big snake form, and you have to if you're facing Renji, you have to like dodge it and run up like the spine of the sword or something. That'd kind of be cool with quick time events.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, but I can agree with that. I feel like there's been like one Bleach game that came out on the Wii, and I wanted to buy it, but I never did end up getting my hands on it. So who knows?
Yeah, as I said, this was one that when I did research for, it was there's a lot of games. There's like 15, 20 games, but most are Japanese releases, and the few that are in US are not necessarily the best consoles for a game that falls into this genre. They were the Wii or the PSP, so there's going to be either graphical limitations or uh, just unfortunately with the Wii motion controls, which can be fun but could also be a hindrance to something like this. So
Yeah, just attach a GameCube controller, you'll be fine.
true. But yeah, just Bleach. I just wanted to put this on there because I think it would be a lot of fun to, uh, especially a creative version.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can co-sign.
All right. So your next one?
All right. Hey, based on the somewhat constructive criticism I've given this show, it might be surprising that's on this list, but I still want to say it. Bocchi the Rock.
Okay.
Okay, hey, the obvious choice for this is just like a Guitar Hero rock band type thing, which apparently I guess they're trying to bring that back in some cases. It would be super fun to see the band playing different types of songs, whether it's actually theirs or not, and just kind of helping them go through stuff like that. Heck, I don't know if you ever played computer games growing up, but there was a Class of 3000 game where you actually could create your own music. Heck, maybe just something like that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I played a couple, but not. I didn't play the Class of 3000 game, so that's interesting. I think that could be a lot of fun if it's done. It's another one that has to be done right. A lot of musical people would have to probably be involved just to make it feel where your music you create is could be unique in a but also sound good when combined in certain ways.
Yeah. And heck, it could kind of be if each of the girls kind of has their own progression system. So if you ignore one of them, then it's like, I think three-quarters of the band is doing really good. But what about this other girl? Because, like, for example, one of the girls is trying Kita is trying to learn how to play guitar, and Bochi's super good at the guitar. So it's like, one of your guitar players sounds really good, but maybe you should work on the other one before the next concert. And if you don't do it well enough, then the concert's that much harder. That sort of thing.
That's interesting. So it has kind of so you've got some kind of creative parts, and then you have the social structure of a lot of like those JRPGs and other games like that, and then uh, but then like the big almost boss battle kind of stuff is the Rock Band. I think that's an interesting combination because that was all like Rock Band was just a rhythm game. So giving it more to it, where like I think could be really interesting actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and much like the regular Rock Band games, you if you're playing it, you do not have to be a good singer because I got high points all the time and I was not a great singer back then. It's just like, all I have to do is scream in just the right decibel of volume, and I'm getting points. Am I waking up people in this house? Probably, but who knows? Who knows? I'm winning. I'm good.
So that was that noise I heard growing up.
Yes, yes, it was. No, you wonder why it took years for me to be invited back to your house.
Uh, but I'll said I think that could be a really interesting combination because I never really got into the Rock Band games because it just felt like okay, it's gonna be one I really don't have a sense of rhythm, and then it felt like okay, well I can play this and I can ruin the songs that I like, and that was it.
Yeah. Heck, you could even kind of do a Persona 5. Yes, I'm willing to admit it. I have played the Persona 5 dancing game, but with each kind of mission you complete or girl you help upgrade, you could honestly just be your own character. Like maybe you're the band's new manager or assistant manager or something like that. And they kind of open up to you with just like, oh, well, I wanted to like Bochi could be like, sometimes even with how much I'm growing, it's still kind of scary and the more you learn, the more you're able to help them. And it kind of ends like Persona, where it's like, hey, if you need me for anything, I will do my best for you. Like it could be a really kind of cute way of tying up the story.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun actually. I think you've made me actually want this game, and I've
Yeah.
never even seen the anime.
Oh, damn it. Now I want it too. Oh, now I brought up Persona. As for, do you try to romance any of the girls? Like, I'll leave that to somebody else. I could take it or leave it, honestly.
Yeah. So all right.
Damn, I
So my
like
next
that
one.
one.
Yeah, I know. It's actually a unique idea.
Damn it, let's move on. Let's move on. Maybe your idea is even the next idea is even better.
Maybe. I don't know. So I did that time I was reincarnated as a slime. I think it'd be a really interesting game because it flips the stereotypical RPG game on its head where you get to play as like the monsters. So I would say this would be a fun one to have where you I would have you select like one of the different races that besides the slime, and you could be like a goblin, orc, lizard folk, beast people. It's one of the many people that kind of live in Tempest, and it's just whether you play through the story of helping build Tempest from the start of the game to where you where they're kind of at now or where the manga goes, or if you're it could be like where you're just an adventuring party leaving Tempest and going on adventures. There's so much that could be fun, and especially because getting to see it from the perspective of monsters, where things in this world, there are some human groups that are already starting to treat them like, well, equals, and then others that are still treating them as their mindless monsters. So there's just a lot of stuff that you could do with this game, and I think it would be a lot of fun. I know they've got, I think, at least one mobile and they may have released one or two console games, but I think one where it's more a bit more creative and your own thing and working with Rimuru for different things would be interesting.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Even with all the variety of monsters you could fight or team up with, it could be kind of interesting, especially if it was kind of one of those games where you're like, huh, what side do you decide to go on? Like, I don't remember the name of this character, so you might have to help me out, but I feel like there was a character who you described to me who, even though he was kind of a villain, he was more of a total loser.
Oh, that was Demon Lord Clayman. Trying to trying to become a true Demon Lord, and he's manipulating everybody to attack Tempest and all that. And then they have their big council, which is called Walpurgis for the Demon Lords, where Rimuru announces that he's going to be a Demon Lord, and pretty much uh he had it's like a smackdown. The guy keeps powering up, and Rimuru's just like, I'm here. I can beat you. You're
Yeah,
weak.
I feel like he was a demon of some kind or a goblin of some kind. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but I'm
Oh,
like, huh, based on the little I've heard of his character, I kind of like them.
oh, Gopta. Okay, that's who you really meant. Okay. He's the like captain of uh, the Goblin Riders, which ride these wolf creatures into battle. But
Oh my,
he's whenever he's not in battle, he's like this awkward kid. He falls asleep in meetings and stuff and gets punished for it. And one of the older men is his master to train him on sword fighting and stuff, and just beats the crap out of him with his practice sword.
oh, that's terrible.
So yeah, there's a lot of fun little things that you could see. It'd be interesting to be able to like, oh, you work on your sword fighting, and now uh you could be a goblin in the Goblin Riders, I guess, or as I said, lizard folk or members of the ninja group. There's just a lot of different little groups that you could probably join. It'd be fun to see.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I can go sign on to that. Like I said, out of all the isekai type shows you've talked to me about, this is the one I'm the closest to wanting. I'm like, it sounds good, but it sounds interesting. I'm dangerously close, but I think maybe finishing up one more show, then I'll be able to give it a chance.
Yeah, this one. The only thing is, there's a filler anime and a filler like 4 episodes that are considered like a second season, and it's really weird to try to figure out when it is. So I I have watched part of both and just not wasn't able to get into it. So
I feel like I've heard the movies are fun.
the movie is fun. I did enjoy that because it feels like it could actually be canon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it doesn't really change any of the character dynamics with or anything, so it doesn't force anything down there, but it introduces a how to put it it creates some characters that could actually exist and make sense in the universe and all that.
Yeah, all right, I can see that.
So, all right. So your next one?
All right. Hey, Osamake, rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose.
Okay.
All right, this one's a little similar to the Bocchi pick, but I'm gonna make it a little bit different because a lot of this show, well, at least the more interesting parts about this show, are about kind of finding what you want to do, whether that's acting, singing, dancing, music, that sort of thing. And this could be you could play as the main character Haru and kind of have him navigate what he wants to do. Because, like at the beginning of the series, it's revealed he loved being an actor thanks to his mom, but when his mom passed away, it kind of killed his drive for that. Maybe this is the start of him trying to more or less get things back under control. You could have different mini games for which path you wanted to do. And even though we didn't really talk about it in the last video, visual novels have a huge appeal with a lot of people. So if you want to do something in the end of, well, which path does he pick and which girl does he pick? You could easily do something with that. But more importantly, for my taste, it's just this case of you could have a lot of different little mini games in regards to what he decides to do, seeing how other characters help him, how he helps them. It could be it might not be the greatest thing ever, but it was something that popped in my head.
It sounds like an interesting game. How would you, I mean, kind of a visual novel, would it just be like choices that you make for the acting bits, or is there
It
something
could
you do
it
for
could be
that?
like what line you decide to say, because sometimes in acting you're allowed to improvise. Maybe if you're doing a fight scene of some kind, you have to do a good enough job to where it looks real, but not so real that you're actually smacking somebody upside the head. Because if you're dangerous, people will not want to work with you.
Oh, so kind of like wrestling where people talk about someone being a very stiff fighter and all that. And
Yeah, something like that. And you could even have it where, some people are like, you really, really have to be careful with how you do fight scenes or do certain romance scenes or stuff like that, where other people are like, go for it.
it's like I could see that in there. Uh, of course, being kind of relationship people or relationship goals, so that if you do another play or something with someone you've done it before with, if you had a good experience, you have a better chance of making it work better. But if you did something very stiff in one and caused an issue in a play, it may affect how you're able to work with them in the future.
Exactly. Like, heck, there could even be times where it's like, look, I appreciate it, dude, but but we're done with practice for tonight. Like maybe it's just like it could also just be helping people outside of their stuff. Like I've said before, there's like a maid like character who's not one of his childhood friends she actually might be my favorite character, but because her backstory is sad and compelling, and also she's just hilarious.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like a very interesting game. I've wanted to give a couple light novels a chance, but the ones that seem to become popular here are very either risque or involve oh God, yandere characters.
This show has neither one of those.
It just unfortunately that's just what seems like becomes like listed as like, oh, this is top rated, and that's unfortunately what the choices are. And I don't necessarily want that.
Yeah, I will say, if you were to ask me, is Osamake a necessarily fantastic show? No. Is it a great show? Not necessarily, but let me put it this way. It has its own charm to it that I can't quite describe.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
none of the characters feel perfect, but I think that's a good. It's not like School Days where everybody feels like a horrible monster. Like these feel like people who like you could meet. Like they would piss you off a lot, but at the same time you'd be like, I have your like they have your backs when they need to. Like it has a weird way of doing it.
Okay. I can kind of see it. I'd be interested to probably watch someone play it a little bit before I try to dive into it, but it'd be something I might be interested in.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I have no faith in that one, but with your questions and the stuff you add to it, now I'm a little more on board with this. So thanks for the help.
Happy to help. So,
Yeah, but also Make, that's it for me.
all right. I've got another one that's kind of interesting that could be the okay, what we just said the term. It's
Visual novel?
yeah, visual novel, but I combined it with this like a strategy game, Legend of Galactic Heroes.
Okay.
So I would have it be like, I mean, you could either do it as two separate games or one game where you can play either side's story and either play as the Empire and try to build up. I think it's Reinhardt is kind of that character's name and build his relationship and have him try to kind of take in power and taking control, and then you have the other side, the Free Planets group or something. I can't remember. It's been a little while since I watched the show, but just like have different ways of affecting your relationship with these people, and like I could definitely see like the Empire being very much heavily focused on their like you gain support by how to put it being more powerful and more strategic and all of that. But when you work in like the free with the free planets, you're much more focused on being kind and helping support everybody else. So there's just different aspects to how you play each story, and you have the different battles. And this would be one that I think would focus on telling the overarching story. So you'd play as the two protagonists from the show.
Yeah. Honestly, I would kind of like in regards to one side's more okay, one is more into helping people while the other side's more into just dominating and strategy. That honestly might make for a good like curb of some kind because there are games like with a lot of video games, it's a lot harder to be the good guys. Like the bad guys, you just have to destroy everything. It's easy. So more people might be like, "Oh, I want to play as the good guys because it's harder." Which you can play a video game on any difficulty you want as long as you're enjoying it. I don't care, but just that could be something interesting.
Yeah, and I just think that like how you develop your relationship with each group could affect how they perform in like the strategic space battle portions of the game. It just where okay, you're overly kind to this person, so now they don't trust you in battle if you're part of the Empire, and they rush in and attack. They can there's a percent chance that they'll rush in and attack without you knowing about it and causing an issue during the battle. But if you're like strong-willed and hold them, they believe in you and they don't rush in and with that. But then you could have the opposite. You were too hard, overbearing with the free planets, and now so and so's rushing in because they don't trust you. And it's just different ways of affecting how the battles play out.
Yeah. That being said, I do see at least one person trying to build good relationships with everybody. Whether that's possible or not, I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the show, but it would be something to think about. Like, hey, what if your relationship with everybody is good? What happens then?
It's just straight up battle.
Hmm. It's just like, yeah, but even the other side, we find a way to do it. I'm like, kid, we don't have a game if everybody likes each other. Not happening.
No, I think it's more of like a respect system. It's not necessarily that they like you, but that how much they respect you, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of thinking because I don't know if you played the Shadow the Hedgehog video game, but whether you're a good guy or whether you're a bad guy, at the end you have to team up. You have to go against another villain. So I'm like, oh, would they all team up at the end, or I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas at this point because I know someone's going to be like, oh, I'm going to try to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, no, I think I still own it. It's somewhere over there.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I like your idea though, especially when I see you playing a lot of the I guess Star Trek game you had. I could see it having that sort of element to it too.
Yeah, that was more of that was an MMO, Star Trek Online that I was playing, I think.
Still.
Yeah, but yeah, I just put Legend of Galactic Heroes. It seemed like a fun combination to do.
Yeah, I can co-sign on to that.
All right, so your next one?
Dororo.
Okay.
All right. This guy like no, no, once again, this is no create a character thing. I know I'm just as shocked as some of you as a lot of you, but honestly, with the main character, I'm not gonna pretend like I can pronounce his name. And like it starts off as he's just a baby, and after his father sells him out, oh, he's nothing. He's like this robotic samurai type thing. So it could have a really cool RPG progression like system. Like every time he beats an enemy, he gains one of his vitals back, that sort of thing. There's a Castlevania game where you start off and you have all of your powers. You're super strong, you can destroy anything. But after dealing with one of the bosses, they take away your powers. So you kind of have, so it's like, okay, that's the taste of what you get, but you don't get that back without hard work. And that's kind of what the show's about. It's not just you're handed everything. It's he beats a bad guy, he gets his stuff back, the story progresses from there.
Okay, I think that would be a really interesting uh one. I never finished this anime. I know how it ends, but I've seen through. I think he's met his brother in the anime, and that's this is a really interesting one because I could see it's taking place like as like flashbacks during kind of the final battle and all that, and uh, you see and you play through each kind of one as he gets powers back.
Yeah, heck, it could be kind of similar to it could be like kind of a mix of like a hack and slash sort of thing or a Dynasty Warriors. Maybe you incorporate elements of Skyrim because that kind of seems like where a lot of people kind of want this to go, and it's kind of set in a like similar kind of feudal-esque period. Maybe an Assassin's Creed type game, something like that. But just I don't know. I just feel like for the story where the main character is really starting off with nothing, I feel like an RPG setting really, really could help. It could be a really cool game, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I actually really like the idea because where you legit are getting back your basic functions rather than you're getting new equipment or anything. You're just getting your arms, legs, eyes, tongue, all that stuff is what you get back instead.
Yeah, Hyakimaru, that's his name.
That's right. Yeah.
And apparently there is a video game, but I looked everywhere and I couldn't find anything about it. It kept confusing it for something else.
I'm guessing it's probably a Japanese exclusive then, because
Uh,
that's
oh, here we go. It's a video game released in 2004, but the manga was released in okay, this let's I like my idea better.
well the manga is really old. This is a like a uh the version that came out recently is a remake of a very old anime.
Then do the video game of the remake because it doesn't have one yet.
So all right, so my next one.
Yeah.
All right, so I put Dr. Stone on my list. I think this one would be an interesting kind of survival game without much fighting in it. It's more about collecting resources, developing to be able to develop new technologies and using that to be more of like a puzzle game to figure out, okay, where can we get X, Y, and Z to be able to build this thing? So then you have little things that you have to build in progress to collect new things. And just you can have like maybe a little bit of action in it, but it's more like I'd want to tell the story of the game. So it'd be or the anime. So it'd be more of little bits and pieces where you're probably more stealth trying to hide from the muscle army or whatever they were called. I can't remember. Sukasa Empire, that's it.
Yeah, heck, it could even like what the little I know of Dr. Stone because it's always you've told me before how they kind of show people, hey, this is how you kind of do these certain things. This is how you create these certain equipment and stuff like that. And obviously having to be a little bit careful because if you give people too much information on how to make stuff, that's a lawsuit. That's on making dangerous stuff. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But just I don't know, it can kind of teach them stuff like that. Like Persona 5 when people play it, it teaches them more about like making coffee and stuff like that. So just that sort of thing, but a little more advanced.
Yeah, just again, when they talk about making dynamite, don't teach someone actually how to make dynamite. Just teach them how to like, okay, these are two of the ingredients. That's it. Don't actually go do this.
Or better, it's like you need three ingredients, and the last ingredient is secret ingredient IV. It's just like, wait, but what is it? It's just like we're not supposed to tell you.
Yeah. So just little things like that, and then have and just as I said, kind of more stealthy. Not you don't go to combat because you play as Senku and stuff, so he's not physically strong. That's not his mentality, but he uses his brain to solve little puzzles to be able to collect like uh acid. I know that's a big thing in the anime is when they have to collect sulfuric acid, they have to figure out how to do that. So it's just stuff like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I like that one. Like I said, I for some anime, it's easier for me to get into it through the video games, and then I'll start watching it through there, or I won't. But I think something like that, it's different because a lot of people might want fighting sort of games, but we don't have a lot of stealth games based on anime, which I'm going to get into with one of my honorable mentions. So it could be something unique.
Yeah, and especially because that's the big focus, especially in the early seasons of this so far. It's been like the Tsukasa Empire are big, muscular. They're just guys and girls trying to that are more into fighting than uh, brains until they learn that oh, science invents everything that they actually miss from the old world.
Yeah, 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 I like that. I would actually buy this game if it came out.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun one.
All right. So honorable mentions time.
Honorable mentions time.
All right. Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions.
Okay.
Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, like a visual novel where you try to end up with one of the girls. No, that's not where I'm going. Because a lot of the times their delusions would take over, like they would start fighting monsters or witches or angels, that sort of thing. But they would use it to kind of cover up for problems that they were going through in their lives. I could see it as there's this video game called Daydreaming Davy. It's really not good. But a lot of it is playing through dreams and fantasies, and that's what helps Davy get through his life. But it could be like, oh, Rika's trying to get over the loss of her dad or a fight with Yuta, and this is how she's escaping to it with stuff like that. Rather than, oh, Davy lost his pencil, so now he's gonna daydream until he finds it. Just something stupid like that.
Um, sounds weird. So, but that's kind of what you want in this game, or
Yeah, but it could tackle like more serious issues. Like at first it could just be something simple like, oh, well, we have to save our club or so, and then transition to something more serious like I'm scared to go out into the real world. And as that happens, the fights get more intense, the battles get harder, but like obviously it would have to have a happy ending of them overcoming it but still being themselves. I don't know, for as much as I pick on the show every now and then, when the animation for when they did those fight scenes was always awesome and they always looked really creative. So combining that with the actual like more serious stuff the show could do, it could be like a psychologically maybe kind of interesting game.
okay. And I mean, are we because are we having them kind of overcome or embrace their uh kind of mindset with these with their with the idea of powers and all that? I just
Yeah, like maybe in a sense, after the battle's over, they realize, oh, this is the way I can handle this situation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's just life. Even if you think you have it all planned out, sometimes you're gonna fall flat on your face. Like it could be something similar to that. It's not the most complex game I have, which is why it's an honorable mention, but it's something that's like I would like if a super fan of the show I could talk to, like maybe they could find a way of fixing it more than I could, but it's an honorable mention.
okay. I'll co-sign. I don't think it's something for me, but I could see it being something other people are would be much more into.
Yeah. Yeah. It can have like a God Eater style of fighting, which honestly might be a sell for me.
Yeah, like the kind of big weapon hack and slash.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay. I'll co-sign onto that. All right. So my first honorable mention.
Sure.
All right. I put Blue Lock on my list. So I don't know exactly how this would exactly work. I don't know if maybe if it would have to wait till like season two's out or something of this series so I can know more about where the story goes. But just having, I think this one would be good. Like create your character and focus on like this, like trying to become the striker, and you work in different groups. You could kind of change up who makes it. 'Cause I'm sure that some of these characters that are uh, considered part of whatever I forgot what they called the final group at the end of season one aren't going to be as important. So you could sub in your character instead of one of them, and he's now the one going to be trying to become the greatest striker for Japan and all that. So there's just some interesting things. Like it could have some maybe light novel esque things, but I'd want it to be a fun, more sports game style, playing the soccer story maybe and trying to figure out. I could see it having like powers where you select like how you want your character to play. So is he more of a field marshal and he controls everybody else, or is he the one that just takes charge and is like super fast, or he can just bowl people over without causing penalties because he only hits the ball and they're tripping over themselves, kind of thing. So just
Yeah,
different options.
it especially could work with like a substitution in with like a substitution method. Like, oh well, you don't want to have them out on you don't want to have everybody with the similar abilities out on the field at the same time because that defeats the purpose. Yes, but at the same time, you might have to if you push somebody too hard because you really are trying for a comeback or something like that. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different little things. I The issue I have is that I don't know how creative you could actually get with some of it, so that's kind of why I left it as an honorable mention. It's a fun idea, but I don't know how well it would do.
Maybe instead of a player, just as a suggestion, maybe you're like a new coach or you're a coach in training or something like that, and you have to kind of manage everybody.
It could be interesting. The issue is right now where because I've only seen the anime, I know a little bit about what's probably coming, but there's only like two people that are coached. There's a woman who's kind of observing things and a um kind of psychopathic doctor that's leading the training, and that's it. I'm
Sure,
kind of
okay.
so it'd be interesting to see how they could implement this game, but it's just one that I think could have a fun game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we would have to get on royalties though, because I have not forgot like their name. One of the names on that show is like Egoist or something like that. So we'd have to be we'd have to be included in something. Maybe we're target practice or something. I'll take it.
We serve as the goalie, even though that the goalies are other strikers trying to be the person at the front.
Sure, why not? Something to acknowledge that they stole from us.
All right, but yeah, that's just again, I think a sports anime game could be interesting. I don't
Yeah. We
think I
hope
know of many of
I
those, if
think
any.
Captain Tsubasa, I think that's the name of it, as one, but you could count on you could probably count on one hand how many if there are actually are out there.
Yeah, because I'm guessing they're probably more Japanese releases if there are more.
Potentially, I don't know. There's so few of them, I don't even know that much about them.
So, all right, your next honorable mention.
All right, eat Lycoris Recoil.
Okay.
All right. This one I'm kind of in two camps about because you could kind of do both. You could kind of do both. You could split up into two different series of games. But for all the praise I give this show, the other girls in Lycoris don't really get that much shine. Hey, maybe you could get their perspective because they're the ones actually running around killing people and presumably losing members when things are getting more dangerous. Yes, it could be a good example of how do you want to do things? Do you want to be more stealthy or do you want to go in guns blazing? Hey, and like that could actually and it could actually like be like, okay, some missions are a lot harder if you decide to go stealthy, while some missions are a lot harder if you decide to go guns blazing. Hey, but like we talked about before, there aren't a lot of stealth mechanics to anime games for whatever reason. So it could be something different.
Yeah, I could definitely see this. I watched actually, I think the first two or three episodes of this. I'm just trying to find time to watch the rest. And just knowing how it starts with like, okay, the rest of these girls were being stealthy, and then one of the main girls just rushes in with the big machine gun and kind of ruins the whole plan. And so either having two different kind of ideas of playstyle could be interesting.
Yeah. The other idea I had was more of a creative character sort of thing, but I feel like I haven't burned through that too many times this video, so I'm okay with it. It could be like maybe you're a new recruit for Lycoris and you're like, do you want to do things like your choices have consequences? If you kill certain people, that could be a downside. But if you let certain people live, that could also be a problem because some people like it's like in Red Dead Redemption 2. Like if you let some people live, it's okay. But if you let some people live, it will come back to bite you and that sort of thing. Heck, there's an organization that I guess rivals them called Lilybell, and besides having an infinitely lamer name than Lycoris, they don't really do much of anything, and it's an all boys group. Maybe you have your own character, and you're like, do I want to stand against the Lycorises and like do things our way, or do I see what they're going through, and do I kind of want to establish like a connection or an alliance between the two? I think it could be really cool.
I Yeah, it sounds interesting. I want to give this anime more of a shot. I'm probably going to watch more tonight when if I don't have anything that's premiered showing like new episodes. But as I said, I started like Wednesday or something like that. So making it 3 episodes in it, I think this could be a really interesting game.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody asking like if I'm part of Lilybell, which what well, the first thing I'm doing is changing that lame name. The sec, but I'm siding with the Lycorises. I'm like let's see, keep warring with each other or hang out with Chisato and make desserts. Ooh, tough call.
It'd be interesting. Wait, again, I think we always talk about because Japanese games or anime games always seem to have relationships stuff that you have to build. So like doing different things to build those relationships with like oh God, the hacker girl could be interesting.
Oh, Kurumi.
Yeah, Kirby and stuff. And just getting like she allows you to maybe different things like maybe when you first rescue her, if you're playing through the story or help her out with something, you get access to like security cameras
Yeah,
during every mission and little things like that could be changed and different people give you different weapons and stuff.
yeah. Yeah, and depending on how long the game would be, you're not locked in. Like if you've been a jerk like the first 60% of the game, there's still time to turn things around. But they'll remember, like, hey, you weren't always easy to us, but you've turned your life around. We respect you for that.
Yeah, I think this would be there's a lot of different things that you could do to with this game. So I'll co-sign. I think this one would be fun.
Yeah, and since it's kind of seemed like it's based on Metal Gear Solid, maybe you do that a mix of that gameplay and some other stuff, that sort of thing. But as I said before, let's see, brutally attacking and hurting people and making them sad, making desserts with Chisato. Man, I guess I'll go with the latter option, but who knows?
All right. All right. So my next honorable mention.
Please.
So this is one that I think could be a lot of fun. It would unfortunately probably have a little bit too much I guess I think the word's etchy is the word.
I guess that's the word for it.
It's Food Wars. I
Yeah.
could see I could see it being a light novel with like a cooking mama kind of style where you have different things and you kind of interact with the different characters and build up your foods and based on like okay you didn't chop this evenly in this stage so now it's a little off here and then you burned this side or this side's too underdone and it just affects the results. It just changes maybe the story a little bit. Like, okay, you placed fourth in this cooking competition at the academy instead of the character placing in second or something. And it just these little changes make kind of add up to be a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I need the main I don't want to say he's a bad guy, but the main reviewer from Ratatouille to make an appearance. Like there's somebody who's that picky about what he eats. But if you nail it, you get the most wholesome cutscene of him as kids. Like he first place, give them first place. I don't care.
I seem to remember there being kind of a character like that is very much the uh, picky eater, and you just get the zoom in of them like flashing back to actually really enjoying food as when they were younger, and but it may be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've seen the series, but there's a ton of people that have like different palettes and stuff that uh, have like, oh, I remember this and stuff. But again, I'd hope they wouldn't make it too etchy, but I imagine they would. It would be just because that's how the anime was. So.
I mean, I guess you could argue in a sense that's why it got popular.
Yeah, I just again I made an honorable mention because I could be really disappointed in this game as well, but I just also like the idea of an anime cooking simulator.
Yeah, but it also kind of gives you recipes and actually like similar to the Persona 5 coffee thing, it actually does give you a little bit of advice like, hey, make sure to cook this. This is one of those dishes where it's actually okay to overcook it a little bit. Just little tiny stuff like that.
I could see this actually like legit coming with like you like when you complete a mission, you get the like it actually gives you an option on the menu to download and print out or look at the recipe to make it yourself.
Heck, send it to your phone or something.
Yeah, just different options. I think that could be really kind of a cool idea. It's like here's some unique dishes from the anime, and here's how to make them.
Yeah, yeah, I actually would be really cool with that. I don't have a lot of time to cook, but I could find I might be able to find a way if this sort of thing was happening.
Every so often, I get like the urge to try something new. Like I made what was it? Chicken cordon bleu recently.
Oh, that sounds good. I made Alfredo the other night.
Nice. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, wait, this is why I don't love to this is why I don't bring up Toriko all that often on this show because it just makes me hungry.
But yeah, the Food Wars I think could be a lot of fun as an anime cooking simulator with different elements of story and development.
Exactly. Yeah, I can co-sign.
All right. So you said you had two more honorable mentions or just one?
Yeah, I can just do one. Honestly, I might be able to do a sequel, but I would want to wait on that.
Yeah, I've got a couple that I've got enough to start a sequel list, but not enough to do it. So let's just do one more each.
All right. Like Attack on Titan Junior High.
Okay.
Rock Lee and his ninja pals got a video game, so you're telling me Attack on Titan Junior High can't? It could be this could be a very kind of crazy sort of game because if they don't seem to focus that much on stuff like it's gonna sound weird, but it could I don't know if you ever played the video game Bully, but it could be something kind of similar to that.
Okay. I could kind of see it.
Like you play as some of the characters, and rather than dealing with Titans, which you would have to every eventually, you actually kind of go through. Maybe your main goal is to stand up to the Titans, but obviously you're not dying like the original Attack on Titan. You can do missions outside of class, or just go up against the Titans. But the thing about Bully was if you went to class, if you passed, you actually got some pretty cool stuff. Like your health would improve, or you would get different weapons to use. So it could be a similar case of is the actual game more fun? Probably. But if you prepare enough and you actually go to class, that's where the rewards lied.
Okay, and kind of and it makes like different, I guess, boss battles easier because you have the more health or the more or a new weapon or a new idea of how to attack them. I could see it being an interesting way to unlock.
Yeah, like and with different people, you kind of have different. It doesn't have to be a relationship builder sort of thing, but as you progress through the game, it's like, oh, you completed all of the Levi squad missions, so now they're willing to fight alongside you. Or you complete missions with Hans, or I think his name's Keith, the scary bald guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Heck, in one of the episodes, it's actually revealed that a Titan has a crush on Jean. So if you help them get together, or maybe she's willing to help you, something ridiculous like that. Like she's like, okay, I have your back because Jean's my boyfriend. Like that, it could be ridiculous, but it could be like, oh, she's actually a lot of help. You just make Jean sad while doing it, but still.
It sounds like it could be a lot of fun because it would be a wacky game versus uh, there's what two main Attack on Titan games that I'm aware of.
I want to say two or three.
Yeah, they're very much focused on the original show where you have to use the jetpack things to kind of fly around and like take out the Titan's limbs and neck to be able to finally defeat them.
It still pisses me off that your character dies at the end of that game, but it's like, I've taken out 30 of these Titans by myself. Why are these four giving me trouble?
They're semi-armored Titans? I don't know.
Through the epilogue, it's revealed you're still alive. I don't know. That game needs a sequel, but that wasn't the point of this list. But just Attack on Titan Junior High. It was kind of a joke answer at first, but now I thought about it, I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, a lot of these, like just looking back, it's like that could be a fun game, I think. Again,
I'm starting. I'm growing to love this video, but I'm also kind of growing to resent it in a little bit because I'm like, huh, most of this probably isn't happening.
again, maybe, and unfortunately, I think some of these games may actually exist. It's just they exist as Japan exclusives, which I can understand not necessarily wanting to risk pushing a game that doesn't do well here, but some of the best ones, from my understanding, never get released here, which is sad.
Yeah, they're that's I don't want to talk about, but yeah, I can Attack on Titan Junior High. It could be silly, but also could be kind of fun.
All right, yeah, I'll co-sign. All right, so my last honorable mention.
Please.
So I put Frieren. I think this would
Oh, you actually
be
started this show.
yeah, I think this could be a very good slow-paced um game. There's some action and stuff where you fight different demons and stuff, but I think it'd be just kind of interesting to see like where you jump between kind of the modern time frame with Frieren and uh her companions now, and then jump back and see like why Frieren's doing something in the story. Now you get jump back and see that oh, she was the aloof one at this point, and uh Himmel was the one the reason why. And then you jump back and just you get to kind of see how her perspective has changed and how the world has grown, but she's kind of stood still in time. Just I think it'd be a really interesting dynamic because you get to see how the world's changing around her pretty much.
Yeah, I can honestly see that. Admittedly, yeah, people are gonna hate me for this. I know nothing about this show, and I know this is a dangerous question to ask, but is it as good as people say it is?
I enjoy it. There's definitely if you're wanting a very slow fantasy story, it's probably something to watch. I mean, there's action in it, but it's not your stereotypical one where every other episode is a lot of action and stuff. It's much more focused on the relationships between people, especially with someone who's pretty much walking out of time.
Yeah, I could see that. I like because people have been really hyping this up, and I'm like, I can only watch one popular anime at a time. I did solo leveling, so that I thought that's what everybody was going to tell me to watch, and then I was wrong.
No, I mean, I would definitely give it a shot if you're kind of interested in it. It may not be for everybody. As I said, I've got a friend who we both really like the isekai and stuff, but I told him flat out because he's very much more into the action style. He watches like he's watched God Eater, he's watched some other stuff like that. That's more. There are some slow moments, but it's very much more focused on the action. I said that this may not be for you. I recommend you give it a shot, but just be warned. There's not every episode is going to deal with some big fight.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand that. I can co-sign, but I feel bad because this is the one I have a lot to say on. Because even with the little I know about Doctor Stone, I know more about Doctor Stone than Frieren. The only thing I know is that one of the characters makes a really smug looking face, and that's become a meme.
Yep, yep, that's very true. But as I said, just I think it could be fun getting to see how the world changes around someone who's I don't know if they have infinite life or if they're just uh so slow aging that the world pretty much just develops around them.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, I think. All right, so your final one.
All right, my final one. It's gonna be more of like a fighting game. Like it could even be more of a Street Fighter game, but with the characters involved, I might actually be on board for it. Beelzebub.
Okay.
With all the different fighting styles that we have, it could actually make every character kind of unique because a lot of the Red Tails, the girls in the game, have weapons like they'll have chains and like water pistols and stuff like that. So it could be different from the people like Himakawa who flaunts his money and uses like dirty tactics like tasers and like bribing people or stuff like that. At the same time, though, it could be kind of a case of you could honestly kind of make it easy because one of the complaints about a lot of anime is that when the bad guys join the good guys, they get significantly weaker. But you could honestly kind of, even if it wasn't a progression system, this is one of those games where if the beginning's super easy, it kind of works for the story. Hey, and as the game progresses, the characters get stronger and they like learn different techniques and combos and stuff like that. Because you don't want everybody learning all of their strongest combos in the beginning of the game because that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, because I mean, it takes a while for him to get the what is it like? Is it a butterfly form? I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
what.
yeah,
But yeah, it take that's not. I mean, in the start of the anime, from what I remember, so it takes a while. So I could definitely see that being like an interesting way of separating out where different people get different abilities as they grow. And if you don't, would it be like a kind of the stereotypical where you bring three of your characters that you've unlocked to a fight
it could be something like that.
and would certain fight do you think certain fighting styles should be stronger against different fighting styles and stuff as
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like for example, like yeah, it's gonna sound. You could even have power ups of some kind in a sense because it's revealed that Himakawa with his ridiculous looking pompadour, when his pompadour is down, he's a lot more beautiful, but he's also a much weaker fighter. I don't know how you would incorporate that into the game, but maybe find a way. And Kanzuki with his chain, if you pull on his chain, he gets a lot more dangerous. Once again, don't know how you would incorporate something like that, but it could be cool.
yeah it'd be interesting because of how kind of ridiculous some of the fight stuff is from what I remember of this series, so having those different random events and just I'm trying to think if there's oh god, wasn't there a character that ate like yogurt or something in this?
Yeah, that was Kansuki. One of his attacks involves yogurt, so maybe it's a power up you get it throughout story mode. Like maybe you can't like oh, I guess fighters had power ups too. Like maybe certain characters get different power ups, and that's how they get stronger and unlock stuff.
Yeah, and I could see it being one where you like, oh, you found something before you unlock someone, so now it's just sitting in your inventory for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, if this was more of an arcadey sort of fighting game like some of the old Sega Ninja Turtles games, I would be cool with that too. This is not necessarily a game that has to be all that deep. It could just be more of a this is good. We're gonna make this as fun as possible. And because at the end of the day, sometimes a fun, ridiculous game is better than just a straight up good, boring one.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I never was much into like arcade fighters, but I know a lot of people are, so I could see this being a lot of fun for some.
Hey, I'm just trying to make video games that I feel like can, well, not necessarily appeal to everybody, but like somebody could look at this and be like, oh, I could be into this.
Yeah, I think I'll co-sign. I think that would it could be a lot of fun.
Heck, there could be a mini game where you play as one of the gangs trying to take over the school because they were always trying to do that. And obviously, once they take over, like their characters have progressed. They're friends at this point, but just that sort of thing. Heck, in the Dragon Ball game I mentioned, if you win apparently if you win a tournament as Gogeta, the fusion separates, and the announcer's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think this is gonna work." And Vegeta's like, "No, it's okay." Hey, and he and Goku have like one last fight. Like you could have stuff like that, just to make it a little more interesting for replayability.
Yeah, yeah, I think this Beelzebub is one of those that I really should go back and actually and sit down and watch all the way through. I remember enjoying the episodes we watched together, but I still haven't finished the series. And I know you watched it, I think, during one of the summers we were uh not
Yeah,
at school together, so that's why.
it might be time for a rewatch. It's been that long.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah, we're closing in on almost a decade of knowing each other.
Yeah, 20 years too long, but still.
Uh, so, yeah, but I'll co-sign. I think kind of I could definitely see this being a fun arcadey uh, fighter.
Yeah, okay. But yeah. Arcade fighter, it's different from the other stuff on my list, but that's kind of why I like it.
Yeah, I kind of like all the games that we've kind of created so far. They're all kind of different and stuff that we haven't really gotten with anime games.
Yeah, which means it's going to be all the more heartbreaking when we get a Bocchi the Rock card game.
for your cell phone.
Just do your last one or whatever.
All right. So I put Fairy Tale on mine. There's one big one that's come out, and that's kind of been it for Fairy Tale. And with the 100 Year Quest Fairy Tale anime starting up in, I think it's July, they said.
July 7th.
Yeah. So
You can celebrate Fairy Tale and my birthday, but my birthday's more important.
I'll text you a picture of me watching the series on your birthday.
Joy.
But in all honesty, this is one that I think could be a lot of fun where you get with a creative character. I almost want it to be where all the main cast are kind of side characters and it's its own unique story. You're either I could see it being where you're a new member of Fairy Tale and working your way through and can eventually maybe partner up with people to form different squads to go on missions with. But I can also see it having like a pretty much all unique characters and you interact with the different guilds. Like you can run into Natsu on a mission and like either kind of be a dick to him and start a rivalry with him, or you could be nice and you and him actually become good friends and stuff, and just different aspects. And I could see it having an overarching story with these little side missions that you can do, kind of like this one, but just a bit more creative. And as I said, when you create your character, you have like a selection of maybe 20 or 30 magics that you could that's your base one, and it has an unlock tree that you unlock new spells as you grow stronger. And it allows you to be more than just, okay, we know all of Natsu's attacks from the anime. We know all of Lucy's different spirits that she can summon. So give us something that, like, there isn't a Ice Dragon Slayer. So maybe that's one of the options is you can be the Ice Dragon Slayer and you and Gray have a rivalry because he's the Ice Demon Slayer. So just a lot of different little things that could be fun to kind of interact with and maybe show side things that were going on during different story arcs.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Heck, maybe you're not even part of Fairy Tale. Maybe you're part like I said earlier. Maybe you're part of one of the other guilds, and you're like, do we want to be cool with Fairy Tale, or do we want to hate them, or is it just like neutral? Like we'll help you when we need to, but I would not necessarily say we're friends.
Because that's the thing. I would like it would be interesting to like if you were part of like Blue Pegasus, which is one of the bigger ones that it's friendly towards Fairy Tale, but some of their characters have rivalries with them. Or Sabretooth is another one that could be interesting. There's a lot of stuff that you could interact with different people with.
Heck, maybe you could be a lone wolf of some kind if you wanted to. Hey, all of these guilds they seem cool, but I don't really want to be tied down to anybody.
That could be interesting. It's kind of serving more as like a mercenary. You still go on missions and support, but you're just in it for money and not really wanting to partner with everybody
Yeah,
else.
it's just like, oh well, thanks for helping us. If you ever want to come with us, just change, like let us know. And I'm like, oh, wait, Natsu, what's up? You and Lucy, is that a thing, or should I shoot my shot?
Oh God. But yeah, there's a lot of different aspects to this one that could be a lot more fun. That I did enjoy the Fairy Tale game, but I think this one could be a lot of fun having a creative character because there's so many little sub magics and just changing like the type of stuff could change how different characters get different abilities. So I'd be interested to see how they could do something like this.
Yeah. Now that somebody has given me fairy tale magic, like they gave me like six different questions, like how would you do this? I'm like, oh well, I guess like, well, how do you feel about this? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, congrats, here's your magic. I'm like, oh, I kind of like this. So yeah, I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, I could see it being kind of how Mystery Dungeon starts out, where you answer some questions and it's like, well, based on this stuff, we recommend you start you this magic. But if you really want to, you can then go back and here's the list and choose from it if you really
Yeah.
want to play something different. But
Yeah, like I would not. I understand the appeal. It's like, oh well, you like because in fairy tale, I assume you don't choose your magic. You're just sort of stuck with it.
it's not really ever fully explained because you get people like Natsu, who's a dragon slayer, his power, and he has the element of fire as his choice. But then you get like Lucy, who uses what are called the celestial spirits, which she has to have like legit keys. Like they're 6-inch long keys that she has to use to open the gate and let that spirit out.
Yeah, like just for a little and like there are people who talk about, oh, what's their dream Naruto game supposed to look like? And somebody said, well, if you have a keke, if you want to be born to a certain family, you shouldn't be able to choose it because it's not like Naruto chose to be an Uzumaki. And I'm like, I understand that to an extent, and that would be realistic for life, but sometimes it's just better to let people choose because that's the fun of a game. You get to choose. It's more interesting. They can recommend stuff like Mystery Dungeon in this game, but just being like, no, this is what you're stuck doing. Like I like that to me is not fun.
Yeah, I think I mean we talked a little bit about Naruto, but having like okay, you can select from these clans, or you can pick random start and it just randomly selects one from the list and you're born into it, or you could even be born clanless or something like it just generates a last name and it's like could be like a namikaze. There's no set powers for the namikaze, so you just have no like Kekai Genkai or hidden techniques, but you can do like some of the more secretive ones. That could be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Just like that's just my thing where it's like sometimes it's nice to stay loyal to the source material, and sometimes you're allowed to let the people have fun. It's a video game. It's supposed to be fun. You're allowed to embellish. You're allowed to stretch things a little bit. Obviously not too much, but a little bit's fine.
Yeah, and as I said, with the fairy tale game though, I prefer a unique story, like I said, where you get like there's a unique villain, something's going on, kind of reminiscent of some of the like Uzumaki Chronicles, stuff like that, where you get a unique story. It's something just a little different.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be cool with that. That would actually really get me into fairy tale though.
Yeah, it's just I put this one on my list because I really enjoyed the one game we've gotten, and I think they could do really well with like an expanded game.
Yeah, I'm just glad we didn't use create a character for every single one of our things because even I would have gotten sick of that.
Yeah, I love creative character, but there's so many games or series that haven't gotten even the basic treatment of Dragon Ball and Naruto that deserve that at least, because that's just another way to get people interested in the show.
Yes, exactly. But I can co-sign the fairy tale. I would like that sort of game.
Yeah, but I believe that's it for today.
All right. Hey, so we ready to close out?
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies, gentlemen, and others, what are some anime that you think could do well with a really good video game? Any of the ones that we talked about that you think that you'd like to be expanded on, which I guess we could maybe do a video on if we want to. Any that you would do a different style of, or what else? Is there anything you would change? Just let us know.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if anyone has other series that they say, oh, this one really needs a good big game release, because there's a lot. I mean, I was going through like just my Crunchyroll list, and there's a lot more that I could, but they just were a little less that I wanted right now.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And please be nice to me, because I was very nice to Bocchi the Rock this time. So so be nice to me. I'm very sensitive.
But yeah, I think I really enjoyed this video, and I really want all these games now, and I know I'm not going to get most of them, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we're on a roll right now, and that upsets me. But be sure to like, comment, subscribe, give some suggestions, be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.